Welcome to another episode of Dr. Brook on the Block. It's time to grab a seat, buckle up, and take a ride with me through the wild, wild west of the Web3 universe, where we're going to learn all about coins and tokens, NFTs and contracts, digital real estate and the metaverse, and so much more. There's a lot to get through on the block, but I am here to pave the way and help you avoid those nasty pitfalls and rug pulls so you don't get hurt. I'm going to also introduce you to some interesting characters along the way. Are you ready? Your ride starts now. What's up? What's up? Welcome to another wonderful epic ride in the wild, wild west of Web3. I am your host, Dr. Brook, the crypto-practor, and I am joined with my co-pilot today, Tyler Bossetti, aka T-Boss. What's up? We met We met in Puerto Rico a few months ago now. Actually, a few months prior to that, we got to connect and meet up before the event. And super excited to have you here because we share some big passions in the digital currency space. But before we dive into that, I kind of want to share with the listeners a little bit about your bio. You took a huge risk and decided to leave the mortgage industry, and you went on to co-found 0%, which we're going to talk about, back in 2020. And your role as director of real estate has led you to coach thousands of clients on how to create generational wealth. And we were speaking in the background about how one of your biggest missions and mantras is really to create financial literacy for people and help them understand how to create this generational wealth, not just with digital currency, although that's what our big focus is going to be about today, but more so, in any way, whether it's real estate or the other investment opportunities people can use. So you are on pace, Tyler. Congratulations to building a multi-billion-dollar real estate fund that 0% members can get exclusive access to. So welcome to the wild, wild west of Web3. Welcome to this roller coaster ride. We are in for a great one. Make sure you're buckled up, you too, Tyler, because we don't want anybody falling out of the ride before we even get started. Welcome, welcome.
Yeah, appreciate you having me on here, and nice to reconnect, and appreciate the opportunity.
Definitely. It's so incredible. The first question I always love to ask my co-pilots and writers here is, how did you get started in this space, or where did your journey? We know that the digital currency space really kind of got started, you want to say 2009, really like by 2010 with the creation of Bitcoin. Where did you come in on that timeline and in that journey? And can you tell our listeners about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think most things are a result of pain that you experience, and also passion, right? Then you can turn that into purpose. So for you being a chiropractor, maybe you had some past pain or past traumas, or maybe a passion to help people move better. And for me, it was that calculated risk, but yet pretty big risk of leaving the mortgage industry. Ironically, a major reason why Bitcoin and crypto was created was to change the financial industry, or the financial system as we know it. And I experienced that quote unquote pain on my end by originating mortgage loans for 5 years. So it served a great purpose. I learned a ton. I still take the principles and things that I learned and the mentorship I got and integrate it in everything that I do now. But really where I saw the purpose and or the pain, if you will, was how long it took to originate a loan, right? Like if you go to buy a house, you have all these hurdles, working with title companies, working with underwriters, making sure that the client qualifies, checking their credit, their income, their assets, right? And I got into the industry right after the financial collapse because of all of the fraudulent things going on in the mortgage industry. So that was also a great learning experience, is understanding the pros and cons of regulation, understanding those little nuances, right? So for me, I fell in love with self-development. I fell in love with learning and growing through actually running ultra marathons. Wow. And so Yeah, that's maybe a story for another day, but I was always doing like research, watching YouTube videos, and I started learning about crypto actually back in college. And over that 5 year journey, going into the mortgage industry, it just kept popping up, and it just started to become make more sense, if you will, right? And so, whether we need to dive right into the weeds or not, I just kept viewing blockchain being a great solution to just buying a house. Hey, you don't need to um, close in 30 days now. Maybe you close in a couple of days because you can figure out right away using blockchain technology if the current owner of that house has a tax lien, right? Versus using a title company, they have to go through a title search and they have to do all these things. Whether industries will be obsolete or not, I don't know. I'm not here to speculate necessarily that, but I do know, hey, blockchain might be able to find that quicker, right? Or hey, maybe crypto is going to be able to help currencies not get devalued by 99 and if not 100% go obsolete over a period of time. So that's how I'm here now. That's how I co-founded 0% with my business partner Jeff. Is he was already creating content, he was already creating value online. Had a very good sense that a lot of things were going digital. This is about 5-6 years ago, and I really just valued money. I valued financial literacy. I valued helping other people. And he had just started it through his personal brand. And in a short period of time, I was like, yeah, this is the move I need to make, is getting exposure online and helping other people. So.
I love that, Tyler. I love that. Your heart is so in the right place when you talk about pain, purpose, and passion. And the fact that your journey started with the pain, the purpose, and the passion, and kind of moving through those steps, like you alluded to in the story, yes, like I had health challenges that I was, working through, which led me to go leave the accounting field. That was my past background, is accounting, and go into wanting then to help other people regain their health back and give, like, having purpose in that. And then coming into this space, is part of that whole journey of purpose, because not only now is it about physical, spiritual, emotional, mental healing, but also adding that fifth component, which is the financial aspect, because when all five of those, structures are standing, you are doing incredibly well. And so I just have to applaud you for the efforts in what you're doing, what you're building, how you're teaching people, and really focus on that generational wealth component, the education component, and getting people out of one of the words you would say when we were on, calls prior to Puerto Rico was peasantry. And it's such a strong word. And some people might have like an aversion to it. Like they're like, peasantry. What do you mean? I'm not a peasant. I don't want to be a peasant. But I think it's so great because it's such a pattern interrupt when you hear that. People say, well, I don't want to be poor. I don't want to be poor. But you throw the word peasantry in the mix and they're like, hell no, I don't want to be a peasant. And so I think it's so cool that you do that. Can we talk a little bit more about the generational wealth component, kind of diving in deeper, and what, based on your definition, what you would think or what you define a peasant as?
Yeah, great question. Number one, most people can immediately hear if someone walks up to you on the side of the street and says, "Hey, stop being a peasant," right? You're like, "What the hell?" Or you hear someone like me say that, you're like, "What in the world does this guy think he is?" In reality, what I'm saying, in a more unique way, if you will, is stop acting as a victim, right? I think most people, myself included, there's multiple times in our life or multiple times in our day, better yet, that we're acting as a victim. Although most things are not our fault, guess what? You have 100% responsibility no matter what, especially if you're building a business, especially if you have a family, really, if you're doing anything in life. Most of the time people go, and what defines that peasant is they go, well, this outer circumstance affected this situation. This is why I'm stuck in this job. This is why my business is not growing, rather than the internal circumstance, right? Playing the internal game, saying, well, hey, although it's not my fault, it's my responsibility. This person didn't get this thing done or this happened, but you know what? Actually, I didn't set that great of expectations, right? Or I didn't ask enough questions.
Mm-hmm.
So peasants, in my opinion, they are consistently blaming outer circumstances. My family grew up poor. I lost, my father when I was young. I grew up in a small town. I had all these barriers, right? But in reality, it's like, that's really, first off, no one cares. Second off, that's just a outer circumstance. Everyone has their story, and that's okay. And that's great. You should leverage that story, right? You should learn from that story. Whereas when you have a different mindset mentality, and you should create your own identity, you should create your own mentality. It doesn't necessarily have to be assertive or aggressive by any means. It's just you're not blaming the outer circumstance, right? You're not saying a statement. Better yet, you're asking questions. Hey, I did grow up in a small town with financial restriction, with these limited beliefs. Well, guess what? That adversity was great. That allowed me to learn X, Y, Z. That allowed me to actually value money, because people that are born into generational wealth, statistics show 70% of it goes back to poverty in that second generation. So if your family just hands you all this money, it's way more difficult to put a tangible value on that if you've never not had it, if that makes sense, right? If you get a convertible brand new car when you're 16, right, versus having to work for it and get it yourself, you're going to value that way less, right? So it's really building that mentality first.
Absolutely. It kind of leads me to kind of, so I read this book a long time ago that is called What Would the Rockefellers Do? And it's all about creating that generational wealth. And the author of the book, Garrett Gunderson, shared the story about the two big prominent families of the time, right, in the early century, which was John D. Rockefeller and Andrew Carnegie. Now, Andrew Carnegie did not create generational wealth for his family to be wealthy even today. But John D. Rockefeller had set things in place to where there was generational wealth for the Rockefeller family today. Even I think Carnegie's family wealth maybe only went 5 generations beyond when he passed away. So when you talk about that, it kind of brought to mind that whole idea that it is truly something that can be a blessing in disguise growing up in a poor setting. I mean, as much as people don't want to hear that, or maybe oh, I don't know, I'm struggling and I feel this way. But Tyler made some really good points about really factoring in where your mindset is, how you're thinking and how you're responding to the circumstances that you may find yourself in. Because honestly, just like you said, it's 100% our responsibility. We may not be able to control the situation, but it's 100% of our responsibility on how we respond to what is happening to us. And we can continue going down the drain and have this very negative victim mentality, peasant mentality about all these things going wrong, or we can choose to rise above and see, hey, Tyler's done it. So therefore, if Tyler's done it and I'm only 5 or 6 steps behind, I can go to the next level and keep following to where Tyler's at, or where Dr. Brook's at, or wherever that particular mentor you might follow is at. And so shifting the mindset, really creating a strong belief system in yourself is really going to make the biggest difference financially. It's kind of what I got from that answer too. Creating generational wealth.
Yeah, absolutely. And Rockefeller Carnegie is a flawless example because one, the mentality that was instilled, and thankfully I'm pretty dumb. Right. So I don't actually get in my way too often. I think that's actually where most people get in their own way. They're smart people, right? Yeah. They have a great skill set, but they have analysis process. Well, what if this happens? Step 3 or step 4. And it's like, well, that's great. That means that you took step 1. Most people don't take step 1.
Right.
But then better yet, as you are building the skill set, as you're building your income and building businesses, there are lucrative ways that the Rockefeller clearly has either 1, basically invented through law, and or 2, has shared, setting up trust, insurance, these different things and these different tools that, look, by no means am I an expert in every single area, but I do know, hey, this is located differently versus the Carnegie. And even if my kids have a horrific mentality and they are trying to lose everything, they're trying to spend every penny, it's literally impossible by them putting these things in place, right? So that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, well, it's having that protection. So, I mean, Dr. Brook on the Block podcast, we talk a lot about blockchain and crypto, NFTs, like the whole Web3 space, but not just to talk about it and like say, hey, this is cool, come in, but more because we are sitting at the precipice of the greatest transfer of wealth in human history. And that is one of the things that I keep really hammering on. It's part of my intro. People get to hear about it. I really want people to understand that there are so many ways that have not been exposed, quote unquote, exposed to us on how the rich are continuing to get richer. And, and how we're over here saying, oh, we're still staying so poor, and people, getting stuck in their mindset and, getting the government assistance, which might be necessary temporarily, but it should not be something like long term. And with this advent of the digital currency space, or the digital space in and of itself, and what blockchain is looking to really disrupt is the mentality that we have to stay where we're at, and we will never achieve a Rockefeller, or we'll never achieve even a Carnegie. Not that I want to be a Carnegie, because I want to be able to create the generational, like you said, even if your kids have the crappiest mentality, that money is not wasted because you've set things up properly. And those tools are available to us all day, every day. We're just not given the eyes to see them because they don't want us to know about it. And this is the fun stuff, is we get to actually now, through blockchain, start rising up a community of people, not government agencies, not more big, huge institution, all of this stuff. We as the people get to rise up and start claiming what is ours. And that I think that that's super exciting. Do you have anything you want to add to how incredible blockchain technology is doing, or like what it is, and what, like, just how you feel about it?
Yeah, I think probably the most simplified way that even I understand it, right? Because again, we were talking offline, like, although I would be considered a quote unquote expert, I don't view myself that way, because I'm always trying to learn, and there's things that are likely an easy concept for someone to learn. I'm like, man, I got to reread that. I got to rewatch that video. I got to do some more research. Right? So that's the beauty of this space too, is it's so new. The rules are still being written, right? Yeah. And we have an opportunity to help write those rules, and or not have the rules even exist. So I believe that the best way, at least the way that I can understand it, it's like the internet, right? It's massive, but we're operating in like 2000, and people are looking at crypto, they're looking at blockchain, and they're saying, well, I think this coin and this project's going to be doing better than this one. Basically, what people are doing is they're just comparing and contrasting Amazon, Google, Tesla, these different companies that obviously make a huge impact. But guess what? That's when Amazon was just selling books. That's when this company was just doing this. And then they integrated all these crazy things over the last 2 decades. So that's where I think we're at, is we're right on the brink of like that, taking off. And we're actually going to see what projects are going to, come out on top in crypto. We're going to see exactly where blockchain can be integrated right away, whether it's in, medical facilities and keeping track records of people and their medical history, or NFTs and going to a concert, or an artist being able to monetize their art, or a real estate developer like myself being able to tokenize real hard assets, meaning, hey, instead of sending money through a bank and sitting there for 3 years waiting for your return on investment, you just link up your bank account or your crypto exchange on a website that says you're invested in this deal, and you can go sell your piece through an NFT. You can sell your share to your audience, right? So I think that that's my overall, thoughts of the whole space, Web3, the metaverse, NFTs. Crypto it's not if it's going to affect things, it's just when, in my opinion.
I agree. It's not if, it's when. This is a very quick, fast-moving train, and it's interesting you say that because yes, I came into the space early 2021 and didn't really start to dive into educating myself on it until a few months after I made my first purchase of a cryptocurrency, and it was only because someone had told me to. Right? It's like we all, those of you who are listening, we probably all have friends who have sat there and said, buy this, buy this, buy this. And we're like, well, why? Like, can you even tell me? But they're just, so sometimes we put money into it. Sometimes we decide not to make the purchase. I had an opportunity to purchase ETH at $600 back in 2016. And I didn't understand what it was. So I wasn't going to like put student loan dollars, because I was a student going to grad school at the time, into something I didn't know anything about. But this is a fast moving train. And Tyler mentioned, even though he's been in the space a while, he could be deemed an expert, but things are moving so quickly and changing and adapting, and new products and projects come to life and new things happening. But the reality is it's still super, super early. And that's what's exciting. Like, it's really, really exciting, especially hearing you when you talked about real estate and NFTs and what that is going to do in terms of, because you have the real world knowledge of the mortgage industry and the title companies and the length of time that it takes to make all these transfers happen, and all these hands in the bucket, so to speak, when you're trying to sell a home or when you're buying a home, that you need to have all these people involved in the process. And blockchain is going to turn that up on its head. One of the things I will share briefly, I had a conversation with some people over the weekend, and I was even thinking, we were just kind of just throwing ideas like, what can this space look like? What is going to transpire? And so many of us, may have fallen victim to those timeshare. You get going to the mall and the people are trying to sell you a vacation. They get you in on a timeshare, and then you get stuck in it. And then you hear all the commercials. There's so many commercials now for attorneys. If you've been a fraud of, or a victim of timeshare fraud, call our law firm, and you're doing all these things to try to get out of it because you're stuck. Like, imagine like 10 of your homies or 10 people around the world, you all have an NFT. And this NFT that you are holding allows you access to this piece of property for however many weeks that is defined by that particular smart contract in that. This is going to shift even the timeshare world around to where, you decide, okay, cool. I spent my 3 weeks in Florida for the last 5 years. Kids are grown up now. I don't need this quote unquote timeshare anymore. You put that NFT on the secondary market. You might be able to get more money for it than you actually invested into it to begin with. And you got the 3 weeks times 5 over the course of those 5 years in Florida with the kids making memories, doing all that stuff. It's a win-win for everybody. So that's like my excitement, not just with the timeshares, but just like in general where it's going. It's going to be pretty massive.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And one thing that you said that I think is absolutely crucial, and or you are alluding to, is, well, hey, where do I get started? Or it's too late. I think that's a lot of the conversation as well. Well, first off, you need to invest in who and what you know. So, you saying I could have bought Ethereum at 600. Yeah, now that you know what you know, you're upset. But in the moment, it was actually probably a great decision not to invest because
very true.
You didn't know. So that's the beauty, though, of being able to invest into someone's hedge fund if they have a hedge fund, or if someone is super informative, they can inform you, right? Like, I think that's just a big mistake people make with money in general, is they don't invest in who and what they know, because this is going to come shocking to people. But hey, maybe you don't invest at all in the crypto and this new digital economy ever. Maybe you have way higher ROI on your money and you are happier just investing in your business or just investing in real estate. Like, you don't have to get into this space. So I think that people that say you have to get in, it's like, well, there's certain investments that I don't invest in. And some people, they make an entire living and change their whole life doing it. So I think just investing in who and what you know, but at the end of the day, understanding that this is the value that it's creating. Here's how it can impact me. That's where it makes sense. Like for me, I'm not going to go buy a bunch of NFTs as collectibles, right? It's just
Right.
for me showing the world, hey, I got some cool NFTs and photos. And for me personally, I could care less, but I also could care less about baseball cards and collectibles in general, right? Whereas I like it is exactly like you said, like, oh, wait, I can do a real estate deal this way, or I can sell out an event this way. I can build a community this way. That's where it gets interesting, at least for me.
Yeah, absolutely. But also too, not to debate you on this. That's not what I'm trying to do. Blockchain is going to be a part of people's lives, whether they're invested or not. Just like you and I are speaking, on an internet program, StreamYard, to conduct this interview. I'm not invested in StreamYard as a company, but I'm utilizing their software, their program. So I do believe that whether people are invested in it, and they decide to get in or they don't get in, and they put their money elsewhere because they get better deals with real estate or, rare coins or their business, like you said, that's one thing. But at least just having an understanding, if you choose not to invest, that at least that it is going to be a part of your world, with or without you wanting it to be.
Yeah, exactly. I couldn't agree more. And another example I give in this conversation is there's still people that don't believe in debit or credit cards. They just believe in cash, right?
Yeah.
They're like, oh, credit cards are a scam. And I'm like, well, did you know that fiat money is technically credit when it came off the gold standard?
Yes.
They're like, wait, what? And then you educate them and they're like, wait, cash is just credit, right? That's just how the financial system works, is the money is printed off or it's digitally printed off.
Right.
And now it's credit, right? Yep. So some people are just not going to understand it or not want to understand it, right?
Right.
That's usually the key, is they don't understand it because they fear what they don't know. So they don't take the time, energy to learn it. So
to educate themselves. So transitioning or speaking about that, when you talked about, digital printing of money. So I believe it's less than 3% of the Federal Reserve notes are actually in paper and coin. So 97% or even higher is actually digital. So it's funny when you say those people that don't believe, they're like operating in this really, really, really small percentage that is actually even physical paper, physical, gold pieces that they can hold on to, because the rest of it is digital. We use, Venmo, we have transfers through, different bank accounts, like moving around digitally instead of physically. So one of the things too, when we create money, or when the Federal Reserve creates money or prints money, essentially what is happening is like it's being minted. Like there's a terminology, minted, and minted, it just essentially means the creation of something new. Like, so it's kind of getting created. So when you go to a bank and get a bank loan, whether it's a business loan or a personal loan, or you're doing some sort of different, like an auto loan, that is new money being minted. That's how new money is minted into the economy, is through these bank loans. You're doing something interesting with minting. I don't know how much you can talk about it. I did see some stuff, on your social profiles about it. But yeah, can you talk about that? Can you talk about what chain I don't know what you can talk about on it. I don't know how much it's still under wraps, but feel free to share.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are, as I'm sure you know, and to let the audience know, we have a few different companies. So we have our company 0%. We help people get access to capital, specifically, mainly those that are entrepreneurs, whether they're just getting started or maybe they already have a business or multiple businesses. Better yet, they're looking to get capital to make investments. In other words, how can I get other people's money to make more money, whether it's in a business, whether it's passive income streams, investing into like real estate, investing into crypto, investing into crypto mining. That's our company, 0%. Then we do have some crypto hedge funds. And then lastly, we have the real estate side of things. And the real estate side of things is really broken down into two different categories. One, what I refer to as like the cash flow category, which is crypto mining. So we are building out. We do already have a few active facilities already with miners, and we're mining Bitcoin, and we're also mining KDA, which is Cadena, and we're building out a 50 megawatt facility near Intel's $20 billion project, which is the largest project in U.S. history, manufacturing history, which is great. And they just passed nearly an $80 billion chip bill.
Wow.
So the chips, so that's going to be a pretty big deal.
That is huge.
I call Central Ohio Silicon Valley. I'm a big advocate of Columbus. It's where I've lived over a decade now, and
I love
there's
it.
a lot going on. Silicon Valley. So,
love it.
I think, we're already seeing it now, and it's not really well known, if you will, but obviously we have Silicon Valley, where a lot of tech companies started because, one, proximity. Like, it's a lot of those companies went there, and then more followed because of the proximity.
Yeah.
Whereas in Central Ohio, some of the largest data centers in the world are here: Facebook, Amazon, Google.
Mm-hmm.
Now Intel just announced their $20 billion project. The ancillary businesses that are created from that is absolutely insane. Like, tens of thousands of jobs, high paying tech jobs, and the 6-figure range in a cost effective area like Columbus. That's like tens of thousands of jobs getting created in Miami or LA or New York or areas of Texas that are like 7-figure jobs in a sense, right? So it's a big deal. And our project is very, very, very close by. But the reason why I explain all that and everything that we do, we're also doing multifamily real estate development projects as well. So at the end of the day, I believe in like 3 things: consistently acquire skill sets and double down on those skill sets, monetize that skill set through, content or through a business or through how can I monetize this skill and or skills, and then ultimately flow everything into, quality asset classes, which I believe in crypto and real estate. So we have the cash flow side with the crypto mining. We have the real estate development projects. Arguably the most recession-proof and the most proven way to build wealth is real estate. Yes. And now we have the opportunity to make it more fun, simply put, through NFTs, right? So how do we take real hard assets like real estate that produce a return on investment and turn it digital? So we are finalizing everything now. Maybe by the time this podcast is released, it'll be live, but in the next 30 to 45 days or so, we are releasing our company Real to Digital, where people can get an NFT, and that NFT is going to be invested into the mining facility, or it's going to be invested into this particular real estate deal. And it has the value of being in real estate, getting collateral. It's protected, it's secured by this asset, but better yet, it has the value of being liquid, where they say, hey, I'm making X amount return on investment. Well, I need the money back. They don't need to explain anything to us, right? Maybe they need a new car, their family's growing. They just need the money for whatever reason, or they don't like the investment, whatever the case may be. They can put that NFT back onto the marketplace, in other words, our platform, and sell basically their position in that. And so I'm doing a pretty big pop-up activation to educate and inspire Columbus to say, hey, look, we are Silicon Valley. So obviously there's going to be a nice little touch, and me, but I want to educate. I think that Central Ohio, I think we are in a spot, and specifically Columbus is in a great spot. It's cost effective. It's a younger generation. There's great jobs. There's hundreds of headquarters here already that people are not even aware about. I think Columbus is going to come out on top when it's all said and done because of a lot of different factors. And so I feel a calling to educate people and show them how they can get involved with us.
So exciting, Tyler. I don't know if you saw that beaming smile across my face as you were talking. For those of you who are just listening and not watching on YouTube, everything he talked about with Columbus and the expansion and what he's doing, just Tyler alone with his team and his people, not the big conglomerates like Facebook and Amazon and those guys that are out there, but what he's doing and what, like, having those real estate investment deals and being able to be a part of those. Because one of the things, if you aren't aware, is a lot of investment deals, regular people may not be able to be a part of because you're not necessarily what is called an accredited investor. And while the government tries to do this as an act of protection against or for you, they're trying to protect you because they're like, oh, well, they're not smart enough financially. So therefore, if they don't hit this $200,000 mark, they can't be an accredited investor and they can't get into all these deals, which is ironically funny because people who have less than $200,000 may be more financially aware and educated than somebody who just has a six-figure paying job and might be hitting that $200,000 figure and have zero financial education. So the irony of the government trying to protect us just makes me laugh, them trying to regulate what they're doing. So Tyler, that is an incredible project. I definitely want to be a part of it in any way that I can. I want to own one of those NFTs. So you got to let me know when. You said 30 to 45 days that is looking to get launched. So definitely going to keep my eye out for that one.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. So as we kind of wrap up the podcast for today, we talked a lot about different things, NFTs, mining, crypto, real estate, 0%, all of the things that you're into. I know that you have a new book coming out. I want you to talk to people about what they're going to learn with that book, how they can get a hold of it, how they can just continue to learn.
Yeah, absolutely. I have all social media platforms. So Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, my personal website, tylerbossetti.com as well. We'll be officially launching the book in less than 60 days. So as you guys can tell, there's a lot going on, which is a great problem to have.
Yes.
But the whole book, the title is All for Nothing. I believe that it's a great title for at least there's multiple intentions for the title, but I believe that most people, unfortunately, live their life for nothing, right? They do all these things in their life, and then they have nothing to show for it, right? They have this idea of working and, exhausting their health and their happiness to never build wealth, right? And so I think wealth is measured in many different ways. Like you don't necessarily need to have quote unquote generational wealth in terms of money in your bank account or money in your crypto account or all these assets. It could just be a wealth of knowledge, a wealth of happiness, a wealth of your health. And that really is a focus of the book, is making sure that people are not doing all for nothing. Better yet, you can have all these assets, you can have all this money for nothing in terms of leveraging other people's time, leveraging other people's money. And so in the book, it's really three core focuses. One, ending that victim mentality, right? Not being a peasant and knowing that, hey, we all have the choice and the responsibility to do what we want to do. And the second piece is eliminating financial restriction, right? So understanding from a financial literacy standpoint, hey, here's the foundation, right? But better yet, here's likely the limited beliefs that you have and that I've had, right? And obviously sharing some stories about myself personally, sharing professional stories, sharing some financial stories. And then last but not least is building recession-proof wealth, right? Like what does it actually mean to build recession-proof generational wealth, that you're not a part of that staggering statistic that, again, you live your whole life, right? Maybe you're 50 years old, maybe you're 15. Hey, look, I can end this victim mentality now, or I can identify when I'm being a victim, and I can make sure I'm consistently eliminating financial restriction, because income can be infinite. And better yet, how can I actually keep this, right? How can my future generations keep this? So that's the focus of the book, All for Nothing. I'm excited about it, and I hope people get a ton of value. And it's been absolutely insane writing the book.
I love it. That's so exciting. Yeah. So when is the book due out? You said 60 days on that one?
Yeah, we're aiming for the official launch end of September. So we'll have like a book launch event here in Columbus. Really excited about that. And in the meantime, though, I did drop a pre-order on my website and on my social media platforms. So
awesome.
It'll be pressed live, ready to go here end of September.
Ooh, so exciting. So exciting. Great. Well, okay, Tyler, one last question for you. This could be super short. You can take it as long as you need to. But for those people who might have listened through this entire episode and are still kind of on the fence as to whether they want to come into this space or learn more, like what would you say to somebody who still might have some hesitation to move them in either direction, whether they get off the fence into the digital currency space, whether it's through investing, or if they get off the fence and decide, hey, it's not for them. Any particular words of advice?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think, my whole mentality is, especially with coaching and consulting thousands of people around financial literacy, around investing, is I always try to do the best I can about meeting people where they're at, right? And somebody that I'm coaching in real estate, for example, I may meet them where they're at, where they have a family, they have a business, they don't have much time, right? But hey, maybe they have the money, or maybe I can educate them on how to get access to that money. And they realize, oh, wow, I now am investing in who and what I know, or I'm educated where I can just passively invest, right? So understanding that you don't have to go do this all on your own, right? And just meeting yourself where you're at. You could say, I'm an artist. How can I integrate NFTs? Or better yet, I don't need to know everything. Can someone help me mint my first NFT? It's really a game of two things. It's time and money, right? If you have all this money, then you probably don't have much time. You're probably putting a consistent amount of time to accumulate that money.
Right.
You don't have much money. You probably hypothetically have more time. Now, that little equation I gave, that's not always the case, but meeting yourself where you're at, right? Like, am I actually understanding this? Better yet, I think this is the second piece, is meeting myself where I'm at. How does this solve pain in my life or pain in my industry? And for me, it was actually the real estate industry. Like I mentioned, holy cow, this is a pain to close a mortgage loan for people, and or it was a pain for me to get deals done for my investment properties. I believe that these different factors of blockchain, Web3, NFTs, blah, 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 the list goes on, can solve some of these pain points.
Love it. Love it. Great answer to that question. So people can, take it, figure out where they're particularly at and see if there's something that they're passionate. Well, first the pain, circling back to how we started, pain, purpose, and passion, really find out if there's a pain in their life that they believe that this is something blockchain technology can solve or help them move through, or maybe they find their purpose through it. Or maybe they find some passion. In my case, I found passion. And so I am working on my big heart for this space is really to help females, like onboard a lot more women into this space. Because I feel like we don't really do a lot of just jumping into something without having some due diligence. And not saying the men don't, but I have some much love for the ladies and teaching them how to come on. So that's where my passion is. I love educating people in this space. Thank you so much, Tyler, for being here. It's been so much fun. So great to connect with you. I'm very excited for all of the upcoming projects you have going on and just where life is taking you. So I'm going to be following along the journey with you as everything comes and does its stuff. So thank you.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Appreciate the opportunity. This was awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. You made it. Congratulations. That wasn't so bad, was it? I hope you laughed and learned a little bit more about this Web3 universe and how simple and fun it can really be. Would you be so kind as to leave us a review and share it with your friends and family? It would mean so much to get this out to more people as we embark on the greatest transfer of wealth that has ever happened in human history. Can't wait to see you on the next one.